Right, so just a brief welcome before I move on off camera and dismantle this. So yes, just to recap, this basically turned on and off with a fan ramp up. We've done a D-lid on the CPU. Um, it now works, but it's still getting hot. So from here, I'm just going to check because I was basically just making sure that it was, I wasn't convinced it was going to work basically, so I think I could do the job better, and fractions really count. If you don't have this exactly on where it needs to be, that's going to be a problem. Um, we're going to be applying liquid metal and applying a small amount of pressure here. This is a fix Sony did as well, so we'll just be putting a small amount of pressure there so we can make sure that the liquid metal does make good contact with each other. We'll be applying it to the underside of the plate, and we'll be applying it to the die itself as well. We're going to be removing some silicone because I believe that's not helping the situation. Um, so yeah, I think all silicone needs to be removed, and yeah, so I'll strip it down to the board and I'll see you in a moment. Right, so I'm down to the motherboard, and I had a look at this and it did seem to be centered. I put a small blob in the center here, it lined up with the center here, so that tells me that's sitting on there pretty well. So what I'm going to do now is just remove the excess from here. I'm just going to do it very gently by scraping it off. So we had, on the face of it, a decent temperature on the RSX, so that doesn't need to come off. There has been a lot of people saying, well, do you need to put liquid metal on? You probably have to change it in 3 years. I don't know about that. I did watch a guy who basically left his graphics card on for 3 years. His computer never turned off. And after 3 years of being on 24/7, it needed a change. Yeah, basically it stopped working completely. His graphics card would overheat. But you're not going to be leaving your PS3 on 24/7. So if you equate that into time with this, you're probably looking double 6 years. I would say 5 years to be on the safe side. And yeah, you don't see a problem. It does give you better thermal conductivity, definitely. So yeah, this is definite. We can actually see the shadow where the original paste was, which is good because I'm going to need that as a template. you will get some leakage because we spread it across the chip and then we also put it in the middle. It's come out really well on this one actually, perfect. And yeah, we just did the same here, just applied it upside down. So now it's a case of, do I remove it from here? A lot of people were saying don't, but I have done it on two now that have come out reasonably well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to clean, and then when I'm ready to put the liquid metal on, I'll be back with you guys. See you shortly. Right, so I have discovered that I have practically no liquid metal left, so I've been able to get some out and spread it across here. I can see I have got a bit of a surplus. I mean, you don't, it just goes to show you don't need much of this. You may well, I mean, this is like literally the smallest amount that you can imagine that I managed to get out. I've also been scraping the sides of it in here to try and get as much out as possible. But I may need more. And we'll see. I mean, I may well be able to spread this out. Now, I will need to put a small amount of pressure behind this to definitely make contact. You can tell the difference between the silver dye and the silver liquid metal. It's much shinier, the silver liquid metal, which is great. You can see exactly where you've covered, and yeah, we've got, much to my amazement, I've been able to cover that. I've also been able to put a bit on the inside here. So let me just show you what I mean. I don't know if you can see that here. You've got a blob in the middle there, and then you can see the liquid metal there as well. Yeah, I mean, it does knock 3 or 4 degrees off, and currently that's massive, because if we do have an overheating problem even after a D-lid, then that's not good news. We don't know the history of this, but I am just trying to get it reasonably stable at the moment. I mean, this is no problem, the arse, it's just this. So if I can get this stable, or even better, working very, very well, which is what I'm aiming for, then yeah, we can then say, yeah, this is working to a good standard. Let's have a look at its history. Now it's fairly straightforward. I would definitely assume that the work was done because of the current fault, but you can't be sure. So yeah, I will be basically looking at previous faults as much as I can. I think we can only draw up the last 10. I'll have a look online, see if I can get more. I'll ask some people on PSX Place if you can get, I mean, it'd be great to get the entire error log from the moment it was booted, because some errors are just improper shutdowns where they flick the switch at the back, and then other errors we know are, there's like some notorious CPU errors, and yeah, the moment we see anything like that, we're like, okay, there may have been a problem here with the RSX, or maybe the RSX has been brought back to life with heat, because this has definitely had heat applied to it. But we'll be able to get a better picture. I haven't looked at Webman in terms of how, I haven't brought up the CPU and GPU lifespan, so that's the next thing we'll be doing. Once we get this booted back, and to see if we can get it stable. The other repair I did was just a straightforward drive replacement and then a refurbishment. That's working fine. Both temps in the 60s on The Last of Us, so 62, I think 62, 63 maximum on that one. I'm happy with that. And you know, as long as we use custom firmware to keep the temps down with fan speed, because yeah, that is definitely one of the reasons these failed. I think, yeah, if you look at the individual components, they can take the heat, but collectively on a board, you're going to get the board warping, and that's going to break connections. And I think if we keep the temps in the early 60s, even on resourceful gameplay, that's going to help prevent that, without a doubt. Right, okay, so we've got liquid metal here, we've got it here. We've scraped every bit of liquid metal we can out. In fact, I think I've just seen some more in this tip here. Oh yeah. Let's just make sure we've spread it well here. So when you put it on to the heat spreader, it doesn't want to go on. So a little tip is you just keep spreading it on, and then it eventually takes. And then when it takes, use gravity to help you spread it. Not doing a good job there though. I think that's about as good as I'm going to get. Right, so Yeah, I think I'm going to have to give this just a little final clean. I'll just move this over here for the moment. It's simply because it's had so much thermal paste on it. I've cleaned it away, but the remnants always remain. It's just, you could spend hours. I won't. I'll spend enough time to get the majority of it off. I like a clean board. Yeah, no flux has been put underneath as far as I can see, so it's just heat, and you know, these can withstand quite a lot of heat, so I'm hoping so. I'm putting some thermal pads in there because I want it to push down, and Sony did do a similar thing with a bit of plastic to try and rectify the issue with that heat spreader. Do not do this on a COK01 board. I've never had a problem on this board, which is a COK02, but yeah, don't do it on a 01. Slightly different board and it doesn't quite work. Okay. Right. Okay, so we've put new thermal pads here. It's all 2mm, all pre-cut. I always find 2 does the tokens nicely. There's a bit of an overlap, but it's fine. Yes, so Right, I've just noticed that there, so I'm going to have to undo this. Bit of a pain. Okay, let's see if that does it. Okay. Right. Okay. Right, I'm just going to put this together and we'll see you in testing. Okay. So let's put the last screw here. Obviously we've had the whole board out again, so date and time will need to be adjusted. Oh. Right, so let's get around. Just get my ducks in a row. I'll just pause this while I clean up and then we'll have a look at the screen. Right, so we're back and yeah, I'm delighted to actually tell you that this has been running for what, 12 minutes now, and yeah, it's in par with the RSX 5150, and by now that would normally, even on 35% speed, be in the 60s, mid 60s. It's not, and that's basically because we've got liquid metal on there and we have applied a small amount of pressure to the back of it, which, you know, it is a fix that Sony have recognised needed doing, hence their little plastic effort that they do, that they put in that crevice themselves, and they did do that on some models. I'm not sure how effective that was. I think this is more effective. This is Naked Snake's Eraser mod, but you just don't do it on a COK 001 board. Just don't do it. I found it alright on other boards actually, even on the later Fats, but just not on a 01 board. 002 board and beyond seems to be fine. You do have to use less pressure on the smaller boards with the later Fat revisions, but these are good. Now, so I think we have got the correct date and time. Yep. just going to turn the system off and restart it. And the reason for that is because Webman won't report the correct power on status for the CPU and GPU. It should do now. CPU RSX. So 114 days. That's very modest for a system like this. I normally see them in the 200s, 300s and above. So yeah, you know, for a system this old, 114 days is absolutely fine. It's had 241 improper shutdowns. That could have easily have been people just flicking it off at the back, and also quite a few of those shutdowns when people started it. The fan revved up because it's overheating on the CPU immediately. So yeah, pretty pleased with that. I'll just now put this down to 32% fan speed, which is 33, which means it will run at 32 and go to 33 and above should it need to do so. Put the system just down here. So everything along the actual board's been screwed back in, but the components on top haven't. I will go down to it one last time. Final clean, and also may well be reading the syscom. I know that they'll be updating it on PS3 exploit, where you can read the error codes on a working system, which will be ideal for something like this, so you don't have to hook it all up. And I may just wait for that, because they said when the custom firmware 4.89 exploit comes in, i.e. you can exploit 4.89, and at the moment it's only on 4.88, then yeah, you can then that's when they'll have the new feature out on the FFM page. So yeah, now we just need to I haven't even checked to see if the disk drive works, because it was very low on the priority list, but let's have a look. Oh yeah, that's good. Right. So this is now running at 32% fan speed. Try and get it a bit central. See if I can just zoom in. Okay. We'll need the temp, so just press the middle button and start select at the same time. This room is warm, so I'm just going to open the window. I don't think that's going to help, it's warm outside. So I'll just get an exact reading of what's going on in this room. 26 degrees in this room at the moment. So a CPU below 64, under full load, 64, 65, anything below 65 in this sort of room, 26 degree room, will be good. Some volume, because it's a very small telly. Just had it for my office, so hook up games consoles like this. See, the RSX has jumped up. It's already under load. And it will go into video mode, so it will do a little video clip at the beginning. That will be quite unresourceful on the RSX, but CPU is CPU on this. It will just run. It will be under load during gameplay, and then little cutscenes it might get 2 or 3 degree rest, i.e. it will drop 2 or 3 degrees, but no more. Whereas the RSX can be under load of 64, 65, and then go into a cutscene and go right down to 48, 49. I literally had none left. I was just scraping it out around the rim of the of the tube of the liquid metal, and I just can't believe it was enough to do this. So I'm very happy with that. I do have more liquid metal on its way. I order it from China, and I find it sounds good. I've had it before. It's as good as the stuff I'm currently using. It's half the price. And I've ordered a few tubes of that.
Tommy, listen to me. He is the contractor. He's the contractor, okay? I can't lose this job. I understand.
So let's not forget, we're on 32% fan speed. Under 35% fan speed, it went right up to 68 degrees on the main menu, on the XMB menu.
Under it work, huh?
Here it's under load and on 32% fan speed, so that's 3% lower, and CPU is
It's way past your bedtime.
behaving itself, which is good.
Honey, please not right now. I do not have the energy for this.
Here,
What's this?
your birthday.
I do make these videos for the PS3 enthusiasts, by the way.
That broken watch.
So I know maybe Tony's watching this going, this is a bit extreme, this is very in-depth, but yeah, this I love the console, and the people that watch it love the console as well.
It's nice, but I think it's stuck. It's not.
What? No. Oh, ha ha.
Where did you get the money for this?
Drugs. I sell hardcore drugs.
Oh, good. You started helping out with the mortgage then.
Yeah, you wish.
So you can see the RSX all the way down to 47 degrees there through the full motion. This is going to test the NEC tokens now. I've had consoles just stop here. The bad NEC tokens.
Hello?
Sarah, honey, I need to get your daddy on the phone.
Uncle Tommy, what time is it?
I need to talk to your dad now. There's something.
Uncle Tommy?
Obviously it wouldn't be the
Hello?
RSX ones. It would be more of an error on the CPU ones if we did get a shutdown. That is a basic piggybacking on. It's pretty straightforward to do, just don't get any solder on the board. I can't believe I piggybacked on some tokens and some solder flicked onto the board, causing a short. So yeah, don't do that.
Daddy? What was that? There's his phone. He takes calls. Where the hell are you? Call me on my way.
Notice that my hands are black. The joys of opening. I mean, that was a relatively clean console, but it was full of paste. Okay, let's put that down. Gonna find our dad. So I am expecting these temperatures to go up to about 64, 65 degrees under full
Here
load.
you are.
Sarah, are you okay?
Yeah?
Does anyone come in here?
No, who would come in here?
Don't go near the doors. Just stand back there.
Dad, you're kind of freaking me out. What's going on?
It's the Coopers. Something right with them. I think they're sick.
I'm kind of sick.
Jesus. Jimmy!
Dad?
Come here. Come here. Jimmy! Jimmy, just stay back! Jimmy, I am warning you. Don't!
You shot him.
Sarah.
I saw him this morning.
Jimmy, there is something bad going on. You've got to get out of here. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
Tommy, come on. Come on.
You have any idea what's going on out there?
I got some notion.
Holy shit. You got blood all over you.
It ain't mine. Let's just get out of here.
They're saying half the people in Sydney lost their minds.
Just please go.
Some sort of parasite or something. You gonna tell me what happened?
Later.
Hey, Sarah. How you holding up, honey?
I'm fine. Can we hear us on the radio?
Yeah, sure thing.
Thanks.
No cell phone. No radio. Yeah, we're doing great. A minute ago, newsman wouldn't shut up.
They said where to go?
They said, Army's put up roadblocks on the highway. No getting into Travis County.
We need to get the hell out. Take the 71.
71, that's right.
Did they say how many are dead?
Probably a lot. They found this one family all mangled inside their
Tommy.
house. Right. I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ, how did this happen?
They got no clue. But we ain't the only town. First they were saying it was just the South. Now they're going on about the East Coast, the West Coast. Holy hell. That's Lewis's farm. I hope that son bitch made it out.
I'm sure he did.
Were we sick?
No, of course not.
How do you know?
They said it's just people in the city. We're good.
Didn't Jimmy work in the city?
That's right, he did. We're fine.
Let's see what they need.
What do you think you're doing? Keep driving.
I got a kid, Joe. So do we.
But we have room.
Hey!
Keep
Hey,
driving,
stop!
Tommy.
Stop!
I see. Someone else will come along.
You should have helped me.
Let's take that light off. That's not making any difference.
This is bad. Everyone and their mother had the same damn idea.
We could just backtrack.
Fuck, man, let's go!
Tommy!
Holy shit! What the fuck just happened? What the fuck just happened? Did you see that?
Yes.
Oh, God damn. Turn here. Come on, people, move.
What are they running from?
Get us out of here.
I'm trying.
Okay, I mean, RSX 6465 is what I expected.
Stop here, Tommy. I can't fucking drive through
CPU 61 is
They're
better.
behind me, too. There! Hold on! Go!
Daddy? Hey. Hey.
Get back. Get back.
Dad?
I'm here, baby. I'm here. Come, give me your hand. What is it?
My leg hurts.
How bad?
Pretty bad.
You're gonna need to run. Come on, baby. Now hold on tight. Right behind us.
Daddy, I'm scared.
Go, watch out, honey.
Oh my.
Keep running.
Some people are walking behind me.
Look at me, baby.
Where do we go?
Over there. We're gonna get out of this. I promise. Get back! There's too many of them! This way! Through the alley! Go! He's dead! God damn it, we're almost there. We're almost there, baby. Back up through the fence! Keep going! Find your way out of here! Come on! Go! Get to the highway! Go! You got Sarah! I cannot run him!
Uncle Tommy?
I will meet you there. Hurry!
Daddy, we can't leave him.
He's gonna be fine. We're almost there.
Okay. We should see the temps drop now.
We're safe. We're safe.
Hmm.
Hey, we need help. Stop! It's my daughter. I think her leg's broken. Stop right there! We're not sick.
Got a couple of civilians in the outer perimeter. Please advise.
Daddy, what about Uncle Tommy?
You just safety and go back around, okay?
Sir.
You can see now the RSX is just dropping. CPU's a couple of degrees off, but
Yes, sir.
these cutscenes do give
We've just been through
the system a rest.
Just need... Please don't. Oh no. Sarah. Move your hands, baby. I know, baby, I know. Listen to me. I know this hurts. It's gonna be okay, baby. Stay with me. I want to pick you up. I know, baby. I know it hurts. Come on, baby, please. I know, baby. I know. Sarah. Davy.
I do find the first chapter really does stress it. When this goes into chapter 2, things start to calm down a bit. You'll probably see the CPU around about 60 degrees, the RSX around 62, 63, which is very comfortable at 32% fan speed for a system like this. I mean, once I get hold of the error codes, if I find that this has never had any serious error other than the overheat of the CPU, which has now obviously been sorted, then I would be happy then to go ahead and sell this unit. But only if I know that it's not had a serious error in the past.
The number of confirmed deaths
Because
has
obviously
passed
I've never,
200.
I don't know
The
what's
governor has
happened to
called a
this.
state of
I do know
emergency.
heat's been applied to the motherboard
Bodies
though,
lining the streets.
probably using a heat gun.
Panic spread worldwide after a leaked report from the World Health Organization showed that the latest vaccination tests
Currently the system is stable.
With the bureaucrats out of power, we can finally take the necessary steps.
Los Angeles is now the latest city to be placed under martial law. All residents are required to report to their designated quarantine. Riots have continued for a third consecutive day, and winter rations are at an all-time low.
A group calling themselves the Fireflies have claimed responsibility for both attacks.
Their public charter calls for the return of all branches of government.
Demonstrations broke out following the execution of 6 more alleged Fireflies.
You can still rise with us. Remember, when you're lost in the darkness, look for the light. Believe in the Fireflies.
Yeah, no sign of a shutdown, which is good.
I'm coming.
It's not excessively old. It's not like I'm dealing with a 250 day, 450 day old system.
How was your morning?
Oh yeah, looking good.
No.
Well, I have some interesting news for you.
Where were you, Tess?
West End District. Hey, we had a drop to make.
We had a drop to make.
Well, you wanted to be left alone, remember?
So I'll take one guess. The whole deal went south and the client made off with our pills. Is that about right?
Deal went off without a hitch. Ration cards will last us a couple of months, easy.
You want to explain this?
I was on my way back here, and I got jumped by these 2 assholes, alright? Yeah, they got a few good hits in, but... Look, I managed.
These assholes still with us?
That's funny.
Let's find out who they were.
Yeah, look, they were a couple of nobodies. They don't matter. What matters is that Robert fucking sent them.
Our Robert.
He knows that we're after him. He figures he's gonna get us first.
Son of a bitch, he's smart.
He's not smart enough. I know where he's hiding.
Right, okay, so I'm going to draw the end to this. It's been quite a long
Warehouse in
video,
Area 5.
but I mean, I do all these tests in real time. Feel free to speed up through them, obviously yourselves. So yeah, just let's just go back to the system. We have basically had a system which had an overheating error, and yeah, as Tony has already diagnosed in his other video, and by testing compressed air to create a nice cool surface on the back of the heatsink, he was able to determine that it did need a D-lid. So yeah, I basically saw one on eBay, picked it up for 30 quid, including postage. It did a very similar thing, but the difference with this is it has been opened before. I don't know if his one had been, this one had, and I did see a few little scorch marks on some of the NEC tokens, which means that the CPU and GPU had been heated up by the heat gun. But thankfully no major damage has seemed to have been occurred by doing that. It probably just dried out the thermal paste even more underneath the CPU heat spreader. So what we've done is we've lifted off the heat spreader. Just to remind you, we did use some flux to heat transfer the heat. So when we applied the heat, we basically was transferring it by using the flux to the silicone, and then by doing that, it just went. I just used this painter's knife. It went through like butter. I normally have to put a bit of force. I heated it up for about 90 seconds on about 300 degrees. The chip would not have got that hot. I think the chip would have maximum got to about 150 degrees, which you can easily take. And then it just went. I had to stop. I had to slow down basically whilst doing it. Normally, I have to put some force. If I put the same amount of force that I normally would, I'd have slid right through it. So I just had to slow down, and yeah, not a scratch. I have done it where I have had a very small scratch, and it's still been okay. But on this occasion, no scratch at all. So that's definitely the method I'm going to be recommending and doing it for myself in future. Once we delidded it, and we just put MX4 thermal paste. Yeah, it wasn't doing too well. There was no pressure applied to the back of it either. So what we did is we lifted the MX4 thermal paste off of the chip, off the CPU chip, and put liquid metal. Applied a little bit of pressure to the back of it to make sure it makes contact. And yeah, now we're getting acceptable temperatures of CPU. CPU's hit a maximum of 62, and now the RSX is between 60 and 65 degrees, which is absolutely fine. So yeah, that draws the end. It is in depth. I do go through absolutely everything, but yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got an error where you start it, you hear the fan ramp up and it shuts off immediately, then it's a CPU delid likely. Yeah, new paste, and I would recommend liquid metal and then a small amount of pressure on the back of the motherboard to make sure it makes contact. Right, take care, bye.